Now, I care about what's true. And like I said, we can have a discussion another time about whether anything is true or how you get to truth or what do you mean by truth. But I basically just mean that my internal model should match reality as best as it can. And that means that in order to be consistent on that, I need to use the tools that are most likely to lead to truth. It means that I need to be ready to be shown that I'm wrong. And it means I need to recognize fallacies, not necessarily by name, not necessarily in the sense of putting everything into a formal syllogism and picking through it, although that can be very helpful. One of the best ways to analyze arguments is take all the specifics out of it and look at it in an abstract sense and see, okay, is this the correct form? If I were to substitute other words in here, would I still accept this? That's one way of getting around finding equivocation fallacies, finding flaws in thinking. I want to change people's minds, including my own. Not everybody has that goal. How do you go about changing people's minds? Well, facts are nice. Logic is really nice. But those things may not register with everyone. They might not appeal to all the people all the time, no matter how much they should. Because people will doubt the source of the facts and perhaps the reliability of that source and what they're founded upon. And you will even get in conversations where you've got somebody cornered and they will get down to the point where they question the fabric of reality and reason itself. That's how desperate they are to defend the notion. And when you get in a situation like that, it's best to point out that this is exactly what's happening. And would you be making these same arguments if we were talking about whether or not the Earth orbits the sun? A lot of times people can't understand the arguments. I had a conversation last night with Daniel, wasn't it? Where we talked about these heavy philosophical arguments that come up in debates a lot. I love when that happens because I can just try to put it in plain language where everybody can understand it while my opponent is potentially talking over most of the people's heads. And I can also point out, if in fact you have a God that exists and you are justified in this belief in this God is warranted, why is it that you have to use such convoluted reasoning that a fraction of the population can understand? Why do we have to become experts in dead languages and archaeology and cosmology and all these things in order to have a justified position? Why isn't it obvious? Why isn't this God just showing up and saying, hey, here I am, and then moving on from there? Most people don't like being wrong. Well, that's not true. And I'll get to why in a minute. Most people don't like being exposed as being wrong. And that makes them struggle against being shown that they might be wrong about something. But being shown that you're wrong means you don't have to stay wrong. Someone pointing out that something you believe is incorrect gives you the opportunity to be more correct and less incorrect. It is an empowering thing. And one of the problems with all this is that we talk past each other because the labels and the shortcuts and the assumptions we make lead to a lack of clarity, where when I say something in everyday life as I walk around, I haven't had to define any terms during this talk so far. When I talk to somebody, we both speak some form of English, American English, maybe. It was a little different when I was in England. We just assume, hey, when I say this, you and I mean the same thing. Because most of the time, our understanding is close enough that we can communicate, or I wouldn't be able to stand up here and talk to anybody. But that's not always the case. In our daily lives, we rightly operate on this shortcut assumption. But when we're trying to actually have a discussion about something we disagree with, or disagree about, that's the point where we need to work to make sure that we are clear in defining what our terms are. And aside from defining terms, I worry most about our community losing sight of nuance. Yes, you need to draw lines. Yes, there are things that are good and evil and all these other things. We are often so quick to draw lines and create boxes to stick people and ideas in that we lose sight of nuance. We understand this when we look at, for example, here's my political party's platform and it has 100 things. We know nobody who associates with that party is required to accept all 100 of those things. And we also know that there's probably nobody who actually does accept all of them. So we'll use the party label to label this individual. And then Even though we know that they may not believe everything in the party platform, we will attack them for the things in the platform that we object to, assuming that because they associate with the party, they associate with this. And it's much easier for us to say, that's the evil party, that's the nut job party, oh, you're with that party. That's not going to help us change minds or understand what somebody's position is, and we do this even though we know that we don't fully agree with the platform of the party that we tend to associate with, or any party. It sometimes seems futile, but minds do change all the time. Now, I do the show, the lectures, and the debates because I care about truth, because I care about people, because I'm a skeptic and a humanist, and I care about fostering those ideas. My humanist values guide me. Yes, I argue. Yes, it's contentious on occasion, often heated. I can be an asshole, occasionally arrogant, and even occasionally angry, although I don't think too many people in this room have ever seen me really angry. Angry in the sense that Greta Christina would talk about from her brilliant talk and book, Why Are You Atheists So Angry? A sort of righteous, justified type of anger. But changing minds is a complex dance of defining terms, getting people to care about the truth, exposing irrationality, appealing to people with reason, evidence, and more, and getting them to realize that they have to struggle to try to take an objective stance whenever they can. That they need to try to set down their baggage and the fact that we're enamored with ourselves, and of course this is my idea, so I like it much more than your idea. It's not easy and it's not always comfortable. And one of the keys is to remove certain stigmas. Now, I'm a huge advocate of eliminating a lot of social stigmas that we encounter all over the place. We need to remove stigmas about sexuality, about mental illness, and about a host of other things that lead to bullying, hatefulness, shame, and misunderstandings. But we also need to remove the stigma about discovering that you're wrong and changing your mind. When someone changes their mind for good reasons, they should be applauded, not criticized for being a flip-flopper. If they change their mind for bad reasons, that needs to be addressed as well. Is their new position correct and they just need better reasons to justify it? Or have they made a mistake? Because the fact that they've changed their mind puts them in a position where they're likely to change it again if they're just given better reasons. Because now we have a mind that is open to the idea that it could be wrong. Some people are more comfortable with this than others. Some are so terrified of this that they'll do almost anything to protect their beliefs. I hated being called to the blackboard in school. Even if I thought I had the right answer, I did not want to go up there. And there's this cost-benefit analysis that goes on in my head, and it's probably similar for other people, and that is, I'm right, but I don't want to go up there. Because if I'm right, I can be comfortable right here in my rightness. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to be wrong in front of everybody, and that's going to be a massive embarrassment. I don't need to be right in front of the whole class, but I definitely don't want to be wrong in front of them. And the fear of being exposed as wrong is huge, or huge. That's why we see people double down. Wow, that is incredibly ironic. I have to note that for later. That's why we see people double down after they've been clearly exposed, denying facts and science and reason. We know that some people claim to believe more strongly after they've clearly been exposed to evidence that contradicts their position. We know that a public profession of a belief makes someone less likely to change their mind, automatically more defensive. And that's why in the discussions and debates that I have, the person I'm talking to is not necessarily my target audience. The people who are watching are my target audience because I'm going after the mirror neurons and empathy within them that say, that guy has my position and just got embarrassed, I need to reevaluate this, and let them go out and actually try to do a better job of defending their beliefs. So what does it feel like to be wrong? Well, it feels exactly like being right, because you don't know you're wrong, you just believe something. What does it feel like to be told that you're wrong? That can be frustrating and may trigger the defend at all costs mentality. But what does it feel like to discover that you used to be wrong? For some, this is terrifying and it feels awful, but it shouldn't. It should be a gift. It should be a recognition that you have the type of brain that can make mistakes because it's a human brain, and can correct mistakes because it cares about what's actually true. So debate. Do debates, have arguments, teach skepticism, teach critical thinking. Let's get them, into the schools. You can be passionate and have heated arguments, and you can even get angry, and sometimes it's justified. If you're not outraged at what some people are doing on behalf of their religious beliefs, then I would question your compassion and your humanity. But if the goal is to actually help people change their minds and not just show how right you are or that you're the smartest person in the room, then recognize that we all believe something that's wrong. Probably all still believe many things that are wrong. Probably stupidly wrong about a lot of things, and some of us have changed our minds, and the hope is that we've changed our minds to more correct positions for good reasons. And keep that in mind when you're talking to people. Keep in mind that they are people, that they are fallible, and that if you didn't think they could change their mind, you would be wasting your time engaging with them. And so the fact that you're willing to engage with somebody on an issue that you disagree about is a show of respect to the person, even if it's a show of disrespect to that position. I don't give a rat's ass about positions. I only care about what those positions influence people to do and whether or not they're warranted. Pause to reflect on how you felt when you learned that you were wrong about something, when your beliefs were challenged. Encourage doubt. Doubt is a beautiful thing. It's what encourages us to explore the universe and try to constantly find better answers so that we're less wrong. You don't have to be mired in cynicism. You don't have to, I'm going to doubt everything and doubt the ladder all the way down to the foundations. I'm talking about proper skepticism where you believe something only when it's warranted, and until then you reserve judgment. There are many different types of bullying that occur in our schools. Some of them stop when we move on to adulthood or shift, change a little bit. Some of them don't. Schools and parents are working to discourage bullying in a lot of different categories. I'd like to see the community make an effort to encourage schools to discourage bullying those who might be wrong about something. To stop bullying on those who change their mind about something. Because a mind that can't be changed or won't be changed is the enemy of discovery and progress. And if that isn't the goal, I don't know what I'm doing. Thanks.
This video is made possible by supporters of the Atheist Debates Patreon project. You can find more information and add your support at patreon.com/atheistdebates.